begins in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Wyatt, and I'm your host, Wyatt O'Brien Evans. Grrr, woof, goddammit, woof, 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 woof. My listeners, today's Wyatt is a very, very special treat. It's another installment in my series titled Bedtime with Porn Guys. I said Bedtime with Porn Guys. Yes. You know, adult entertainment or porn can be an integral part of the lives of more than a few gay or SGL, same gender loving men for a variety of reasons. And for some of us, you know, it can be a less complicated way of, you know, scratching that itch, if you catch my drift. Yeah. So my listeners, today's man is Mr. J.D. Daniels. Yeah, one of the hottest and most prolific entertainers in the porn universe. And to top it off, Mr. Daniels is not only a performer, he's an astute businessman and entrepreneur, having just established his own film studio and production company. We're going to explore his fascinating journey post-haste. Oh, yeah. And hey, after the show, visit my online home, WyattEvans.com. That's WYATTEVANS.com. The go-to destination for LGBTQ news, features, commentary, and entertainment. And WyattEvans.com is visited by over 100 countries on the regular. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah. And at WyattEvans.com, you'll find my smoking hot, HAWT hot, Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels. And the current installment is titled Frenzy! Yeah, Frenzy. And it's teeming with and jam-packed full of masculine romance, intrigue, danger, and the blazing heat of 1,000 suns of erotic passion and steamy nastiness. And Delirium is on its way next year, the sequel. I said Delirium. More details to come. Anyway, let's dive into today's show. Our very special guest is Mr. J.D. Daniels, who's been in the skin game for nearly 2 decades, which is a testament to his immense popularity, staying power, and hotness. He has a truckload of adult entertainment industry awards to his credit, including being crowned Performer of the Decade. Hell yeah. And now, let me tell you something. Mr. Daniels is also quite the savvy businessman and entrepreneur, having created his LUXXXE Studios and production company. So, without further ado, let's welcome Mr. J.D. Daniels. Talk at me. How the hell are ya?
Hey, Wyatt. How are you?
I am doing great. Listen, first of all, I know you're a busy man, J.D., so I'm really thankful that you have dropped by, Wyatt.
Well, thank you so much, Wyatt, sweetie, for having me. I am very honored and privileged to be here. This is quite a for sure honor, you know, to be on your platform this morning.
Well, you are swelling my head, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Well, hey, you're the man. I'm very pleased to be here. I mean, it's such a blessing to have, wonderful brothers like you who really are supporting men of color and really want to see us successful. And, I'm very pleased to really get to know you and really get to know of your platform, which is fantastic and very innovative and informative and just altogether awesome. I really enjoy your radio program. It is just phenomenal.
Well, my man, you need to be my PR person. So after, listen, look, when we get off air, we're going to talk about this.
Yes. Oh, we'll be talking about this for years.
Yes. But you know what? I have been following you for years. You're one of my favorite performers. And like James Brown, seriously.
Thank you.
And like James Brown was in music, you're one of the hardest working men in adult entertainment. I mean, look, where do you get the drive? Where do you get the motivation to do it all?
A lot of it is positivity, and God is basically what it is. Right. I have grown up in a Christian household all my life. I was raised in the church. I still carry a lot of the church with me as far as my abilities and my strength and my being encouraged. And, I always wasn't a man who, in this business, who was very, you could say very, very, not, I wouldn't say the word positive, but very motivated in certain aspects, because sometimes in any industry, you get a little discouraged. You feel the competition. You feel you're not good enough. I have felt all those things for years, and I have always had to rise up. I even have had moments where I just wanted to give up my life because of the fact I just felt of a failure, that I didn't fit in or didn't fit the porn star criteria. And, finally, now that I'm getting older, into my 40s, I finally have decided that I just don't, excuse my French, give a shit anymore. As far as how people in the business perceive me, and actually I pretty much had a hard time even getting into mainstream porn, the A-listed companies and everything, because I wasn't built to a certain capacity, like as a super muscular person. I mean, I am muscular, but more of a swimmer's build and not, of the muscular chisel type. So it's kind of sad. It's either where you have to be in the know with someone in order to get with those companies, or it's one of those situations where it's just the draw of the luck, where someone would just from a high position at those companies would notice you and they reach out to you and they become super big stars overnight.
Right. Well, you know what? We're going to talk about that a little later, but what impresses me, one of the things, JD, that impresses me a lot about you is that you've been in the business for almost 20 years. You have exceptional staying power. And look, I mean, you have won so many awards. You've won several Ravens Eden Awards, including Best Actor in 2018, 2019, 2020. Then you won this year's Performer of the Decade. And as we all know, the Ravens Eden Awards are notable and very influential in adult entertainment. So how do you feel about those accolades? How do they make you feel?
Oh, it is quite an honor. That's what made me finally feel better about myself as a performer, because to get those sort of accolades and those sort of honors, that is a very big deal. That actually shows you do have a place in this business now. And whether certain performers or people may think you do or not. So, to see, and I have to look at those awards sometimes on my mental and things like that when I'm at home. I look at those awards and think to myself, you know what? This is what you achieved. You should be very proud of yourself. You should be very proud of your accomplishments, because to win those awards and consecutively in a row, it really shows that people do enjoy your work, because, the Ravens Eden is a fan-based site. It's based on the fans voting. It's not anything that's tampered with or that's, all decided by the head of that platform. This is all, he goes by all what the fans voted for and what they feel you are deserved of the honor. And that's what makes it for me even more personable, because at least when I look at those awards, I know that the fans chose for me to win that honor and not based on some other motives, So it's
Right.
really quite a big deal, and especially to win for best top, because again, it's like the People's Choice Awards of porn. So
Right. Right. Absolutely.
It may not be the Oscars, but it's still an award, and it's more of a notable award and a worthy award because of the fact it is a fan base. So when you look at those awards, it's based on what the fans really feel you deserve to win. And when I won Performer of the Decade, because I hosted the Ravens Eden show earlier this year, when I won that honor as well. So when I won, because me and Brian Bonds were the host for that award platform, which was the Ravens Eden back in March. We both were the host, and Mr. Pam was one of the presenters. This was one of the first award shows where we had A-listed presenters, and A-listed talent that were presenters and that were the announcers of the awards. And Mr. Pam did the honor of presenting me, as a presenter, the Performer of the Decade, and it was a tie award between me and Zario Torres. So the fans, it was a tie. It was a split tie between the both of us. So that was also of an honor. Now, unfortunately, Zario wasn't able to attend that particular podcast, that particular virtual podcast, but it was really nice to, cheer in his honor, and we also are the first men of color to also win of the first ever Performer of the Decade. This is an award that's only won every 10 years. And this year in 2021 was the first to be presented. This is the first year for it to ever be presented through the Ravens Eden Awards platform.
Well, let me say this before we get into your beginnings. What makes you so attractive to a lot of men, including myself, is twofold. First of all, you have the looks, you have the manly demeanor, you've got the body, but you're also very articulate and you're very forward thinking. You realize that this industry is a business. You can have fun with it, but at the end of the day, it's a business. And now you're behind the camera with your new film studio and production company, Lux Studios. So, my man, you are a change agent. Now, don't break your hand patting yourself on the back.
Never.
Now, look, listen. We're not going to talk about Lux right now. We're going to unwrap that a little bit later for a teaser for our listeners.
Right.
But this is what I want to do with you right now.
Absolutely.
So that our listeners can get a better, fuller flavor of you, let's travel through the corridors of time. You ready?
I am ready, sir.
Well, where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Stone Mountain, Georgia. In the neck of the
really?
South. I am an old-fashioned country boy from the South.
Okay.
I was born and raised there. I went to church there. I went to school there. Up until my high school years, I moved back to California to be with family in California. And back home in Stone Mountain, it's very countrified. That's why I am a little bit of an old soul in a young person's body, because of the fact that my upbringing and everything is very country oriented. A boy from the sticks sort of situation. A lot of people say, "Oh my gosh, you don't have the accent." Oh, it's there. It's there. Don't let that fool you. It is there. It comes out, peeks out every here now and then, but. Yeah, I am definitely an old-fashioned country boy. I listen to music that's, very old school. A lot of what I listen to is old school. I listen with today's music as well, but I even myself, as a black man, listen to country music.
Yeah, okay.
And it's all the you can say the
Charlie Pride.
Well, no, I'm going to put it to you this way. I listen to all the old timers. Is Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash, Loretta Lynn. I also listen to a lot of today's country singers too. But I am very picky about country music. So I am very, very picky. My family was all from the South. So I come from a very hardcore country background.
Interesting.
Even the movies that I watch, are all vintage and retro. And, even though I was a man born in the 80s, I'm like of a man of the 50s.
Listen, that's interesting to say the least. Okay, well, look. What were you like as a boy, a little nipper?
Oh.
What 3 characteristics or qualities best described you?
Goofy.
Oh, come on now.
Anxious and over the top.
Okay, wait a minute. Why anxious? That's interesting.
I always was a little boy who always was curious about everything.
Okay.
I was curious about everything, and I was so inquisitive and hyper and just, gotta know now sort of thing. I actually had to ask what my thing was down there at 5, 6 years old.
Your ding-a-ling. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, yes. At 5 years old, and my cousin will never forget. He would never let me forget it. He said, "You asked your parents what was this big thing that you had." Because even at 5, it was pretty enlarged.
Listen, pretty prominent.
Yes. It was. I was very well endowed at 5 years old, even.
Well, you were born for porn. Oh, I like that.
Yes.
You were born for porn.
Yes, I was. You see those flicks about people who were born for porn at 37. I think I was born at it at 5, 6 years old.
Now look, hey JD, if you use born for porn, I'm gonna charge you because that's mine.
Oh no!
Oh yes!
Oh my gosh! Well, believe me, I will not do that. I will actually, and if I do, I will give you your props. I promise.
My props. I want my cut.
Well, we definitely could discuss that too. We certainly could discuss both. I don't mind it.
Okay, so you were anxious. What's the goofy part?
Oh, I was a major class clown in high school. I definitely was I was hell on wheels when it came to being a class clown. I was the well-known class clown. I was a mascot. And I will never forget it. I was of an Eagle mascot. I was a male cheerleader in high school. I was at times flamboyant, tipsy-turvy, twirling, fanatic nut, in high school. I really enjoyed my high school years. I had some, bad times in high school being, kind of the outcast on certain things. And, but over time, when it became my senior year my junior year, it all started in my junior year. The first 2 years, my sophomore, the freshman and sophomore weren't so great, but the junior and senior years were fantastic. I loved it. I had my job. I was a movie usher and a concessionist. Um, well, I started as a usher and then was promoted to concession, and I just was more of I would say a class clown, but also when it came to work and my and being
Hmm.
having a high school job at the time, I was very serious and very business oriented even then, you know. So I just really I can you can kind of in a way say was very I would say very business-fied, even at 17, 18.
That is awesome. Well, let's fast forward to your college years. I think you went to college in West Los Angeles, California, right?
Yes, UCLA.
Okay. And you graduated with a PhD in psychology with honors.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Whoa.
Yes, and it's hard for me to believe. Yes, I am a doctor, psychology, a clinical psychologist.
That is, well, okay. Okay. Now let me, I believe you put yourself through college by doing porn.
Yes, porn and stripping.
Okay. Was that a difficult decision for you to make? Did you have any reservations? What were the pros and cons that you considered before you made that decision?
Well, for one thing was is that I had I had a little bit of a scholarship, a 2-year scholarship. So that scholarship did help, I would say, supplement some of my college income at the
Uh-huh.
time. The course, of course, I did the first 4 years, which got me my bachelor's degree, and then went on to a little bit of med school for the first year, and to did a and then while you're in the PhD program, it's where you do a little bit of some med, to know a little bit about the body and about, of course, the how the brain works and operates. So you have a little bit of some hands-on experience
Right.
between everything. I would say really, um, once I went into this psychology program, that's where my porn career and stripping, go-go dancing really spurred off.
Ah.
It really went big.
Okay.
So really, it even started going big when I first got into college, but it even became more massive once I later was completing my PhD program, my master's and PhD programs.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Well,
And the pros and
you,
cons, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to forget
no, no,
that
no.
part. But yeah, there were a lot of pros and cons, a lot. There were times where I made excellent money, but
Hmm.
there were times after when I would do either the porn scene or go-go dancing, I would have to come home right away and hit the books. I was a
Mm.
man with little sleep in school because I would be doing that and only would get like 1 to 2 hours sleep and have to go to class and come back from class
Wow.
and have to do a possible scene. After that scene, do my studying, eat dinner, go to sleep, get up at 10 or 11, get ready for another show, and after the show, hit the books. Yeah.
Wow. That was a hell of a grind right there.
Oh, yes. I think once I finished my PhD program, I pretty much didn't start working for about a month because I was so exhausted. I really didn't know what normal sleep was. Because in the PhD program they kick your ass. It
Mm.
is not meant for everybody to be a PhD or to go into the medical profession because you have to have a very high patient tolerance. You have to have a high tolerance for patients. And there's times you will get little sleep or hardly no sleep at all. So you have to be as someone who has to work on little sleep.
Okay, so JD, you got your PhD. Why did you make porn the career? Why didn't you just simply get a position utilizing your
Oh
PhD?
no, I did practice. I did
Oh, I'm
practice. Yeah,
sorry.
I did practice actually. I did when I finished my residency and pretty much was got my license. I went ahead and
Mhm.
practiced for about 2 to 3 years, and then I kind of I was doing some porn still on the side. I'm not gonna halt on that. I definitely did still do a
Okay.
little bit of porn and some go-go dancing to still keep up with the times, so
Right.
people didn't think I just disappeared. But a lot of people didn't know I got my PhD and got licensed and certified, and it was funny because I actually, while I was practicing, had a patient who um, used to be a fellow porn star. Well, he used to be. He
Wow.
retired from it, and
Mm.
he actually told me, "You look very familiar." And I said, "Oh, really? Like, in what way?" He said, "I think I've
Oh.
seen you on screen before, but I just can't put my eyes on it." And he said, "Oh, wait a minute. You're you're Daniels. You're JD Daniels." And I'm like, oh my goodness, And it was that I kind of thought what could have been of a nightmare for me actually turned out to be of a very beautiful thing. It actually turned out being a very beautiful awarding experience because he was also of a porn star, and he pretty much too had a high profession as a teacher and decided to
Hmm.
retire when him and his husband opened up a business. So they opened up, I believe, a doggy daycare together, actually.
Get out of here.
Yeah, yeah, that's all based over in Boston. So yeah, it was really rewarding to really get have someone who really understand the dynamics of wow, you can go into one career and then change into another, just overnight.
Mm.
And that's what happened with me,
Okay.
where I did practice for about 2 to 3 years, and one day
Hmm.
I felt I was making more as a porn performer instead of being a psychologist, and even
Ah.
at go-go dancing. It's the same with go-go dancing, that I did some go-go dancing for a while, and I was trying to do both, but I kind of felt I can move forward and move on to bigger things in porn. And I also wanted to establish more of my career in porn, so some of
Hmm.
that, some of my success in porn that grew bigger was basically because of the fact I took it more, not that I never was serious with it, but I kind of decided, what, I need to amp up my game, and that only needs to happen if I'm in it full time. And that's what I decided to do.
Got it. JD, tell us about your first experience on film. That very first feature you did right before you began to film. Were you excited? Did you have trepidation? Were you nervous? Were you just like, hey, I can't wait to do this shit?
My very first experience actually was it was fun. I had a really good time. I was a little nervous. It was my first ticket, you could say, into porn. I was I'm not gonna lie about that. Of course, I don't lie anyway. But I really, yeah, I say yeah, I really had a really wonderful time. When I
Uh-huh.
started my porn career. And it was a lot of fun because it was through a friend of a friend who introduced me to it. He felt, and this was of a friend who was a play buddy, and he knew of someone who worked with a porn company, which at the time was Bacchus Video.
Right,
And
I remember them.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it was
Yeah.
Bacchus Video. That was my very first production, which was uh, Black Gel Orgy. That was my very first film. I
Ah.
done solo films prior before to that, but they were very Mickey Mouse type of amateurish porn. They weren't they weren't, you could say, what do you call it, something of mainstream. And actually,
Hmm.
Bacchus, I think it was, I don't know if it was considered a mainstream at the time. I'm not sure. I think it was one of the mainstream platforms. But this particular production that I did, called Black Gel Orgy, it was a very highly successful film. Actually,
Hmm.
it was one of the few where I could say I was proud of, because, well, for one thing, I was a lot younger, and I was someone who really was thirsty and hungry to do everything that moves. So at the time,
Okay.
so yeah, I was
Ah.
a hellion, when I first started. When it came to, I just wanted ass, 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 and I think really I was like of a major sexaholic, or at the time. I mean, that's my term. That's a term I use, sexaholic, because I was just like a sexual addict. I was out of control back then.
Mm.
You know, my I would say my first real experience was, I would say that I got a good taste of porn was on that set. And even off camera, it was still where I, for the first time, had an experience where models were, some of them were even getting it on, even off camera. So,
Right. Yeah.
but I mean, the director at the time, he was like very open minded, very fun, but he was also someone who was very like, hey guys, let's get this finished, let's get it going. And so that's what we did. We actually,
Well,
we was done with it within 3 hours. We started at 10 and ended at 2, and everybody went out to lunch. And little did I know, I was open to doing 2 more scenes in that same day.
what?
you know,
Listen.
so I
Well,
did 3 scenes in one day, and 2 of them were used for that production. 1 or 2 of them was used for that production, and the other 2 were used for
well,
the one production, or 2 different ones.
well, my listeners, let's drill down on Mr. Daniels being a sexaholic. I mean, because my man, you have worked with tons of performers like Aaron Trainor. And, I interviewed Aaron
Yes,
not too long ago. So,
yes.
what's it like to work with Mr. Bodybuilder Aaron Trainor? Tell us
oh,
all about it.
oh my goodness. I love Aaron Trainor. Aaron Trainor is one of the most beautiful and sweet and sincere men that I had the pleasure of working with. Actually, and getting to know. I got to know him personally before we actually worked together, and it was a lot of fun. I asked him, I've been wanting to. I'm not gonna. I'm just not gonna bullshit. I've been wanting to fuck this man for years. Well, so I shouldn't say
Listen, who hasn't?
I shouldn't say
Look,
years, but when
listen,
he first came onto the scene, I would say months. What?
who hasn't?
Yes, I mean he is. I mean he is really gorgeous on photos, but in person is 10 times greater. Those photos don't ever do him justice. It's where when you see Aaron in person, it is like, oh my God. You just want to grab them and just eat them alive right then and there. I would say what gave me of a bright idea. I actually was familiar with his work and seen him on social media off and on. And I really, at my husband at the time, T. Wilcox, I actually came up with a bright idea and said, you know what?
Mm.
I think we should create our own orgy film and make
Ah.
it really big and mainstream.
Right.
And I think Aaron would be a great asset and really
Mm-hmm.
of a great player to the mix. And
Yeah, yeah, a great asset. A
yeah,
great
asset.
asset. Asset.
And boy was he. I mean, this was the best decision because we had actually Aaron Trainor, Jocks the Arrows, I believe is what Sean Hardy, and what's the other one? Levy Fox. I'm sorry, my brain just dropped dead for a minute. But yeah, we had
Mm.
all of those players for the Fort Lauderdale orgy, which was mainly developed and organized through me and my husband at the time. And he said, "Hey, let's do it." When I called Aaron, and we've been texting back and forth and talking back and forth, and he agreed to do it. He already was there in Fort Lauderdale. He lived in Miami. I believe it was either Fort Lauderdale or Miami at the time where he was living. So distance wasn't of a problem. And really, in a way, we did have other key players that was supposed to be in that production, but for one reason or another, their schedules at the last minute didn't coincide or didn't mesh well with the date of the production, which was fine because we still had a dynamic group, and it even turned out even way better. That maybe it did happen the way it did because the team players that were in that production, they ended up going high places after that production. Aaron Trainor, in particular, there is on my pinned tweet on Twitter of a particular scene that is really famous and well known of me screwing his brains out. And that was his first introduction into bottoming.
You lucky man, you.
I mean, he really was that. For what I understand, that was of his first bottoming premiere.
Damn.
From that production and him getting top on that production. And I was one of the very honorable men who actually got to exhilarate his talents, should we say, as a bottom.
My listeners, you got to see the scene with J.D. Daniels and Aaron Trainor. I've seen it.
Yes, it is. And it's on my pinned tweet as well on Twitter under J.D. Daniels 3X at J.D. Daniels 3X. If you go on there, that is the very first thing that you see on my page is me going at it with him. And let's just say it is one of the most provocative and very successful scenes that I have ever done in my career in porn. That particular production has gotten so many accolades and awards. It's not even funny. It won Ravens Eden, a couple of Ravens Eden awards. And it was either 2 or 3 that it won, but everybody that was in that production all won awards, and it was one of the very few award-winning movies that I could say that I'm very proud of. I am very proud of it, and it is Aaron Trainor's first award-winning production. He nominated. He was nominated for so many awards actually on Ravens Eden, and won. I think he won 1 or 2. It was 1 or 2 awards from that production. So that production was I would say, of the platform that gained even more success. Because he was starting on the rise as a successful performer as it was, but this was the first ever award-winning performance for fans performance that he's won, and from there he was up for Grabbies and for GAVN nominations for favorite daddy, so from that one production is what sparred and gained of his success bigger and bigger to where it is today, because he pretty much was because when I contacted him, he was like, "Gosh, I can't believe you want me for this." He felt very honored, by that, because he's known of me, he's known of my, my name and who I was and everything. And I guess it was like, wow, I can't believe someone like me would want me for this role. And I saw a lot of potential in him, and I knew he was a man who had potential and could go big places. And I knew what me and my husband we was taking this production, and we knew that this could be something that could really, really spar him up to great heights. And it did. It actually did. To this day, he is one of the most beloved and well-demanded men in the industry. So, and
well, you know what? No, go finish.
No. And I was just saying, I'm very proud of Aaron. I am so proud of this man because, I had, and just so you know, that wasn't the only production me and Aaron did. Actually, there were 2 other productions, because he did one with me and my husband together in a 3-way. That was the next day after that production. Because the Fort Lauderdale Pride orgy, my husband wasn't in that. Actually, the two men who were filming that Pride Orgy one, the Fort Lauderdale Pride Orgy one, the two men were my husband and another well-known person who happens to be a very, well, let's say, owner of a particular fan-based site platform. I'll just leave it at that.
Right.
So both of them were the cameraman, but my husband on the second production actually was involved in that. And then not long after that, me and Aaron did a Raw Fuck Club scene. So that was with Shane Andrews. And so, I would say the 2 weeks that me and my husband were in Fort Lauderdale, it was either 1 or 2 weeks we were there. We had so much fun with Aaron because I know when it was presented to me about doing the scene with him for Raw Fuck Club, meeting with Aaron, my husband said, no, go for it, go for it. So in 1 to 2 weeks, I did 3 scenes with Aaron Trainor that will always be memorable.
Okay, well, let me do this. Let me tell you something. Let us.
I remember that line.
Listen, let us move away from the Aaron Trainor show.
Yes. No. I mean, I love, and just I'll end it and saying, hey, I love Aaron. Right. He is always going to be, a part of my life and one of my dear friends. I love him to death, and I want him to know if he's listening that, hey, I adore him and I love him very much.
I will make sure he's listening because I love him too. I love you. Look, I love you, Aaron Trainor. But we got to move on.
Yes.
Listen, speaking of threesomes, you just filmed a brand new feature for Noir Male with Armand Rizzo and Jake Waters. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, wow. Oh, Wyatt, I tell you, that was the most I would say really breath of fresh air experience that a man could ever ask for, because I'm going to tell you this right now, and a lot of fans don't know, this was my first mainstream production ever. Over my 20 years in the industry, I finally have made it into mainstream. So,
wow.
This was a shocker of an opportunity, because it's kind of interesting, and a lot of people said that this came about after when I opened up my own mainstream company. So it ended up being where, and you're going to laugh at this, and I know if Nick Fit is listening, don't kill me. But I have to give it this story because, it's funny when I think about it now, and it was even funny when it happened at the time. But Nick Fit, actually, I met Nick Fit, who reached out to me about the opportunity to do the scene with Noir Male. I met him at the AVN Awards back in the year before the pandemic hit. So it was where, I believe that was back in 2019, and I met him there. And it was where we definitely had a great rapport. I don't know if you know of Ange. Her name is Ange. She's like a curly, blonde-headed lady who actually was one of the hosts for the red carpet for the AVN ceremonies. But I met Nick, and at the time of his partner, we was in a interview panel before the awards show with Ange, and Nick was one of the people who, along with Cutler X and his partner, and it was me and my husband and Kay Maddox and his husband. We were all asked to be a part of this panel, and I met Nick at that originally, and then I saw him again at the awards ceremony. But we actually seen each other's works off and on through social media. But what ended up happening was that Nick Fit contacted me by text and said, was it through DM? It was either Twitter or DM, and he said, hey, this is Nick Fit. I want to present to you about an opportunity with Noir Male. And to be honest with you, I know I have been fooled in the past by imposters who would impersonate themselves as a performer regarding an opportunity. It wasn't just me, but other performers have had that misfortune as well. So I kind of couldn't believe it, because I'm like thinking, wait a minute. Okay, so I was stunned at first, because I was like thinking, wait a minute, how could this be? I would think I would get more of a phone call or something like that. because, and so I said to Nick, Nick, can you DM me on Twitter? So it was where he did text me originally. And I asked him, could you just DM me on Twitter? Because I just wanted to make sure it was him.
Absolutely.
I wanted to make sure it was him and not an imposter, quote unquote. So it was true. He DM'd me. It was from his Twitter account. And he said, okay, JD, it's me. So let's talk about the opportunity. And so we did. He told me of what they were looking for and what it was that they would like for me to film. And I can't give it away of what the lead role is, but let's just say, but it is of a lead role. It is of a lead role that is going to really shock fans. It is of a lead role that is going to shock fans, and I am going to. I'm going to say I was very honored. I am very honored to be of the man who was chosen to play this role.
You are such a freaking tease.
I would love to give it away, only we just shot it just last week. So we just shot it last week, and I don't think Noir Male would like for me to give it away of what, before they do of what it is that I'm doing. But I will put it to you this way. It will be of something you would love. You know what? It is adorable. It's sexy. It's energetic. I have a little bit of a dominary presence in this. And the first scene, I just can't give a lot of it away, but let's just say that my scene in the first scene is a lot of fun, and in the second scene is also a lot of fun. The first scene is with Amon Rizzo. The second scene is with Jake Waters. So, and it's, I really would love to say what it is, but I just really can't.
Yeah, right.
But I will tell you, it will intrigue fans to go see it when it comes out.
Well, you know what? I'm so ticked at you. I'm just kidding. Anyway, look. Okay, look, this is what we're going to do now. Let us unwrap LUXXXE Studios. I love the name. Tell us, please, what was the impetus behind creating LUXXXE? Why did you do it?
LUXXXE was born based on basically when my husband at the time were together, we each wanted to open up our own studios or to form a studio together. And then when we parted ways, I always have kept up that motivation and that dream. And I really have presented, I was starting to get investors. I said, you know what? I'm single now. I need something to do to occupy my time and not be saddened about the breakup between me and my husband. Even though it was for the best that we did part ways at the time, but I needed something to occupy me, to get me motivated. And that was one of the key elements of what was going to keep me motivated, and to not diminish from porn as far as giving up on it or anything like that. Because, I pretty much have now parted ways with my husband. I'm now having a single life. So now I said, you know what? Let me do the things that I've been wanting to do but couldn't do because of other obstacles or something that was going on, whether if it was in the marriage or outside of the marriage, meaning daily activities that didn't involve the marriage at the time. So what ended up happening is that I ended up talking with a few people, fellow friends, seeing if they wanted to be investors. And I said, you know what, I'm going to get serious with this. I'm going to find investors. I'm going to find staff. I'm going to find people who really are passionate about this as much as I am. And one of my dear and bestest friends, Connor Chase, I presented about seeing if he wanted to be of a co-owner of the opportunity, and it ended up being where we were on the road to it, but he had obstacles in life that came about. I had obstacles in life that came about, because this studio actually was due to be open back last year, but then also too we had the pandemic that happened. So,
Yeah.
that halted a lot of studio activity, not just, with one studio, but several studios. So it was also of a bad time to open up a studio at that time. And so we also said, well, let's just wait further down the line when the pandemic starts to subside and clear up and filter its way out. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
So what ended up happening, to be honest with you, Wyatt, is that um, in the end, unfortunately, Connor Chase had some situations that came up where he had to back out of the opportunity. So which was unfortunate, pretty much because of the fact that it left for me to carry on the reins. But it wasn't of a bad thing after all, because I was a man who was going to carry that weight on anyway. Whether if it was with him or anybody else. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to be a jack of all trades. I'm going to carry the torch myself. And, like he had very big confidence in me, Connor Chase. He said, you could do this, he's very supportive still of me to this day. We still keep in contact. He is very proud of where everything with Lux is going. So no, there wasn't no harsh ties or anything of the disbandment of the partnership. Actually, out of anything, it turned out for being for the best, because he had other things, he had to concentrate on that was of importance. So, to this day, I would still bring him on as a model. I definitely would love to have him to work as a model. So, I want fans to know, no, there wasn't any kind of ill will or anything that happened. It was just timing, is just where timing just wasn't in his favor, or, there's certain life obstacles that just happened that he had to focus on that was more important. And I totally understand that. So the way that Lux ended up being is that I moved forward with it at the time when Lux was in formation and Connor was involved at the time. We reached, I remember meeting now who's my exclusive model, Justin Yermal. I met him at Just for Fans gathering that was held in Vegas. Actually the same occasion that how Just for Fans Boys Gone Wild. It was within that same week. The owner of Just for Fans had a party at a very luxurious hotel. And me and Justin met there for the first time. And I've always wanted to work with Justin. I said, wow, I would love to work with him, but the opportunity just never was there. We had both busy schedules. It never was able to come to fruition. But I actually said, who can my first exclusive model be? And that is where Justin Yermal came to mind. And I presented Justin with the opportunity because I loved of his enthusiasm. I loved of his personality. He has a great presence. He's very sexy and gorgeous. He has everything of what an exclusive model definitely exhilarates. So I said, you know what, let me go ahead, reach out to him, see if he would like to be on board with the opportunity. And sure enough, he was. He certainly was. He was he was the first man on board to say, hey, sign me up. I am willing to do this. And
well, let me ask you this, and I'm sure everybody's going to want to know this. JD, what separates Lux from the rest of the pack? What will Lux deliver that is special to the consumer that some of the other companies might not be delivering?
We're definitely a little bit different because of the fact that I am bringing more of a vintage feel, of a more vintage element that was back in the 70s and 80s, and just integrating it now into the 20th century. So a lot of those storylines, a lot of those, like the men, the jock men, the look, and it's more of the storylines. Not to say the other studios don't, but the storylines I want to bring back is of those storylines that were back in the vintage era. And that was back at that time. And one of the secrets is that Lux, at Lux, I'm looking to bring back performers that have retired during that era. In the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So they can be of a men of of an older generation, but if they look good and they still have the mojo and everything to still do it, we would bring them on. So, and I can't say the name, but a couple of the names that was back in the 90s, I am in talks with them about possibly being an exclusive with Lux.
Nice.
And these are men who have retired ever since like late 90s, that want to make a comeback, and that comeback would be with Lux.
Well, you need to bring back Bobby Blake.
Not just, I mean, I have gotten a lot of people who have reached out to me. I have gotten emails of the yin yang from a lot of fans who want me to bring him back. And
bring him back.
Yeah, but that is something I have considered. I'm not gonna lie, that has been something I have considered, but he would have to be the one to want to make that move.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna give you a list. I'm compiling a list. Okay, my wish list.
Yes. Oh, please send over that list. But yes,
I will.
But there are going to be a lot of surprises within Lux that fans are really going to enjoy. That does separate us from some of the other studios, because and not to say, I mean, because I do support the other studios, and that's something I want to. I do want to let everybody know is that I don't feel I'm in competition with anybody, because there's room for everybody to shine in this business. So I do not. I do still love my competitors. I love, Falcon. I love Raging Stallion. I love Noir Male. I love Icon. I love all of these studios, and I do learn a little bit of something from each platform. So I don't. There's so much cutthroat that does go on, but with me, nothing is cutthroat. I welcome the opportunity of even other models working with the studio who, as far as if they're an exclusive at another studio. With me, there is no competition. I want to, if there's an opportunity where I can help other studios with my exclusive models, and they can help me with theirs, I welcome that. We just keep open the respect of making sure that they accredit that person is a Lux model or Falcon model or something like that in their credits of the film, that person is of that studio's exclusive model. I do keep that window of opportunity out there, that I definitely want to help other studios, and those other studios may want to also help Lux up and grow as well. So no, I welcome the idea of always helping my competitors.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the marketplace can accommodate variety, and that's what the consumer wants to see. They want to see different aspects of men and storylines and all of that stuff. So thank God you're here.
Oh, thank you. And trust me, like I said, we have a lot of surprising elements at Lux that are going to be coming about. In November, we are going to have a few surprises that are going to be coming out. One of them being a behind the scenes reel, as well as the making of Friends in Heat, that will be on the Twitter platform in November. So you will see a couple of surprises. We just came out with the news that the Friends in Heat feature will be of a full feature film, which is going to consist anywhere from 4 to 5 scenes. So it was originally supposed to be planned just as one scene as a tester to see where it goes. But seeing of the fanfare we're getting from it and the buzz we're getting from it, I have made the executive decision to go ahead and make it as a blown out film that's going to be fantastic. So it's going to be 4 to 5 scenes, and and this is where we're taking this to a different level. And I can announce this now. Is that it's either going to be released, it's going to go one or three ways. When this is set to come out in spring of 2022, I want to make that clear right now. The reason for this is because there's a lot of work after the film that has to be done, and one of them is that we want to put this out as a theatrical release.
Nice.
So you remember back in the day when they had like Knob Theater, Stubbs Theater, all those theaters? Yeah. Well, we're still in the works of looking for a theater that will show adult content, and so that's where I'm saying of the theatrical release. So if we're able to find that, it will be released first in a theater. And
now the title.
Well, it'd be premiered in the theater. That is.
And the title again is Friends in Heat.
Yes, and I'll get to that in a moment. What the synopsis of that is, but yeah, it's set. If we can't find a theater, then it will come out first on DVD. It really was supposed to originally come out as the website's being built right now, but it was supposed to be streamed. It's supposed to come out as a streaming film, but now we decided to scrap that and put it out as a DVD release first and then streaming later. So, and the DVD is going to be of a special edition 2-disc release.
Okay, give us a synopsis of Friends in Heat.
Well, Friends in Heat is definitely, I'm going to give it the short synopsis because I don't want to give it all away. But what we have come up with is that both Justin Yearmouth and Brian Bonds, who is the co-star of the film, they're the lead characters of this production. They both are pretty much two friends. Well, they're two people who have met, and which I can't give that away, but they met and they definitely developed a really good bond together to the point where it could lead into other elements in their friendship. But both of them also have very sneaky, lusty agendas behind each other. And so Brian Bonds plays as Daryl McDaniels, who's more a very country boy, very lustrous, I could say go-getter personality. But Justin Yearmouth's character, who plays as Jake Carmichael, that's his name, Jake Carmichael, who's the lead character. He is a divorced sexaholic, I guess you could kind of say. He's someone who's a divorced bachelor who has a lot of secrets. I'll leave it that way. He has a lot of secrets that unfolds in this film, and the secrets is very tantalizing, I would say.
I'm sure they are.
Yes, and the fans will certainly see how far Jake will take. He will go over the top in certain things, but it's a very fun film. It's a very fun film, but also a very serious film at the same time, because it is going to give you more of a movie. It is like I mentioned, of a movie element, like that does have a very major storyline, but it's a storyline where in the end has a very sinful twist to it.
I love it.
It has a twist that either is going to take this as a sequel or it's just going to leave it as is. And I think it has the way that the twist in the end of the film plays out, could have the potential of heading to a sequel.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, listen, how do us grown folk contact and connect with you? Give us all of your social media.
Yeah, so I am on Twitter, actually, as JD Daniels, all one word, JD Daniels 3, the number 3, the letter X. On Instagram, it is JD Daniels X2. And then on Facebook, I do have a Facebook that's under Bear Sebastian. Yeah, so it's under Bear Sebastian / JD Daniels. So on there, I have more of a dual screen name. So it's basically, Bear Sebastian is of another nickname that I was used because I used to be a bear earlier in the day, meaning where I was of a hairy, more, what do you call it? Not heavy, but I just was very bear type of
Gotcha.
Of physique back in the day. But So I kept with that name Bears, and the Sebastian, is because of the glitz and the glamour, pretty boy type that, because I kind of more developed later into what they consider more as a pretty boy. And so I kept the Sebastian part. So I kind of combined the two. So on Facebook, I kept that name Bear Sebastian / my current performer name, which is JD Daniels.
Wonderful.
So anybody that types in, just so you know, JD Daniels, they'll still pull my name up.
Cool. Well, Mr. JD Daniels, thanks for stopping by. Wyatt, you got to come back, my man.
Oh, I certainly will, Wyatt. And I tell you, thank you so much for having me. This has been such an amazing experience. Thank you very, very much for really thinking of me and reaching out and really having me on your wonderful show. I really do intend to come back. I would love to come back.
You're the man. So there you have it. You can find the official Wyatt podcast page on WyattEvans.com. And the official hashtag is Wyatt on Air. And if you want to be a guest on Wyatt, or you just have comments, email me at WyattOnAir@gmail.com. You can follow me, Wyatt O'Brien Evans, your host, on Facebook.com/Wyatt O'Brien Evans, on Twitter at Mr. Woe, MISTERWOE, and on Instagram at Mr. Wyatt O, MRWYATTO. And be sure to check out my Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels, the latest being Frenzy. I said Frenzy. And its predecessor, Rage, all at WyattEvans.com. So until next time, y'all, woof, goddammit, woof, woof, woof. Arr.